Hi there guys, and here is our next astrophotography video, my new hobby. So in the last video we were looking at our SVBony telescope, solar filter, mount, tripod, so on, cameras connected up to the laptop, and we did our first image of the sun. Now if we want to do deep sky imaging, faint objects where we need to do long exposures, we need to be able to have the telescope move and track the stars as the Earth's spinning. So that's what this is for. I did a research into different types of mounts. This is a mount which is relatively portable, small. You know, some of them are quite large, difficult to move around. But this one uses some new kind of motor technology. It's much more compact, and one of the things you have to make sure when you're choosing your mount is the maximum payload weight. So this can handle, I believe, 20 kilos, it says there. 13 kilos without counterweight, 20 kilos with the counterweight. So the counterweight just helps to stop things from toppling over. Also helps to balance the motor a little bit when it's pulling up against the weight of the telescope. There's a bit of a counterweight that helps to lever it up. But anyway, I don't have anywhere near 20 kilos here. Maybe when we get a bigger scope, but right now I'm well within the 13 kilo limit. They recommend for best tracking to not go more than 50% of the rated mount. So I think we're below that. I haven't weighed this setup, but I'm pretty sure it's maybe 6 kilos. So it's probably around 50% of the maximum payload recommended. So I bought this from the company. You can see they are actually a Chinese company, but it is a good quality mount, and they are the same people, ASI, who also make the ASI Air, which is very popular amongst astrophotography. I'm using a laptop, but the ASI Air is a kind of all-in-one astrophotography computer. If you're using the ASI cameras together with the mounts and the ASI Air, then it's almost an out-of-the-box, kind of very easy to get started setup. And this comes with a tripod. So I do have a tripod that came with our SVBony mount, this nice lightweight carbon fiber one. But this comes with a carbon fiber tripod also, but a little bit more substantial. So you can see this was opened and inspected by customs. So this has been opened already, but this comes with a tripod, a little bit more substantial than the other one because it's carrying a little more weight. It is heavier. Probably a higher quality, carbon fiber also. So we're going to get this set up with the mount and connect it up to the computer and see if we can get things talking to each other. That's the first kind of step in getting all of this set up, is to be able to get the mount actually recognized by our software. So let's go ahead and open up. So this mount, as I say, is from ASI. It's called the SVBony AM5 mount. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box here. There we go. Okay, so even though it is compact, it is not super light, but it's much lighter, I believe, than some of the other mounts that you'll see, which are quite monsters. And it comes in this nice carry case, storage case. And let's see what we have inside here. So we have the mount. There's a manual control, so you can control the mount from this. You can slew it, change modes. I believe this also has Wi-Fi built in. This is to connect the auto guide, which is for tracking stars if you're doing guiding. We've got a USB 3 connector, which I believe also provides the power, and the actual mount itself. So let's get that opened up. Okay, so here's the mount. This bit here connects up to the tripod. We've got a dovetail on the top here where we will connect the telescope to. We've also got a little mount on the side here, which I believe you could connect maybe a laser pointer to help with polar alignment. I believe they don't recommend connecting your ASI Air if you have one to this, But yeah, there's another dovetail accessory mount here that you can put things on. So let's go ahead now and open up the tripod and get this mounted on the tripod and our camera put on it, our telescope put on here. So you'll see on the tripod there's this piece that can come off, and this is going to screw onto the bottom of here. The back of the, or the bottom of the mount also has these 3 nuts also that we're going to tighten up through these holes to help lock everything in place. So they supply you with the Allen keys to connect this up. So we put the 3 bolts into the bottom here, and then this whole thing will sit on top of the tripod once we tighten these up. Okay, so now we've got that attached. This sits on top of the tripod here. You'll see you can turn it around, but there's also a lock here to lock and unlock it. So you can tighten that up and that will lock this into place then, get that solid on the top there, you see? So you can lock and unlock it from here, spin that, you can turn this around, and you can lock it up again using that. Now on the bottom here, we have something to keep the legs kind of sturdy. You can put this into place. Put this screw on the bottom, this handle here. And what that will do is it'll push the legs out into position, kind of lock the legs there. Oops, that's our Alexa. So there, it will push that into place and lock the legs. Okay, so we have the telescope now mounted on the tripod and on the mount. See the spirit levels here. There's various knobs and levers that we're going to find out about shortly. So you can see the tripod that comes with it is a little short. So if you want to do visual observations, you're going to be crouching down. Now they do sell a pier that can stand on top of this, which will give you some extra height. But this is okay for the camera, but I'd get a bad back if I was having to lean down, especially if this is panned high up towards the meridian. You're gonna have to be lying down to look inside of this, but there it is. So now let's get it powered on and connect it up to the laptop and see if we can get it recognized. Okay, so one thing I would mention is it doesn't come with a power supply. It requires 12 volts, 5 amps. So I actually bought a separate 12 VDC 5 amp power supply. See here, this is 12 VDC output, 5 amps. That's what I'm going to use to power this. You can buy it from ASI when you order the mount. I brought this locally. Any 12 volt 5 amp power supply should be good enough. Okay, so we've got the unit powered on. See the LED status here. We haven't connected up to the laptop yet, but we've got our controller here. Now you can see you can put it in fast or slow mode. I've got it in fast to switch between the two. You push the joystick button down, so this is a button as well. So you push that, we go to fast mode, and then you can see here we can move the scope around using the controller here. So there's no way to manually move this around by hand, from what I can gather. It's all via the controller. So the next thing we're going to do, now I've verified that everything's powering up and working, is we'll get this connected up to the app. So the reason that the light here at the moment is flashing red and green is because we haven't synchronized the time. So this needs to know the time and location of where you are so that it's able to determine where objects should be in the sky. So in Nina, which is the imaging software I'm using, I tried to connect up, and we've downloaded a update of the software. So our software is now updated to the latest firmware, 1.3.17. We've automatically detected the mode that we're in here. So we're in equatorial mode, running 1.317. Now we can park the mount. So that will slew it to a specific position. So you can park the mount before you pack it up. So once you unpower the mount, there's no way to physically move it. So you want to make sure it's parked or aligned before you power it off. That's just one thing to remember. Also got a home point, whatever that is. Let's see. So that, I think, will be back at its kind of default position. There, so I think home is probably what we would use it before we pack it up. That's kind of the position it came in when it came out of the box. So we know now it's connected here. So let's take a look here now in Nina, and there we go. So we've connected there. So now it says here that the telescope site settings differ to Nina's. So in Nina, we need to set our location. The moment Nina thinks we are right on the equator, so we need to set this up, make sure we get our correct latitude and longitude. So we can either update the telescope from Nina, or we can update from the telescope. Right now, I'm not exactly sure if this is correct, so I'm going to go and check in Google Maps, make sure our latitude and longitude is correct. Okay, so I got my actual latitude and longitude. I used Google Maps to find that. I've input that to here. So now if we go back over to our equipment and we select our telescope and we've got our ASI mount and we go to connect, it'll connect up. And now we can sync from our Nina to the telescope. We can get our location there. So now we have the mount connected here in Nina. So next thing to do will be just like we did for the sun imaging. We're going to need to connect up the camera, and I'm also going to need to connect up guiding as well. So we'll get the guide camera connected, we'll get the normal imaging camera connected, we'll get both of those hooked up in here, we'll connect up to our weather service. So we've already got our weather here, and then we'll see if we can get an image showing up. Okay, so here's my connections now. We've got in the auto guide port here, the cable running back to the auto guide port on our guide camera. This is our guide scope here. We've got our main imaging camera here connected up, and that is powered by its own 12 volt 5 amp power supply also. As it's a cooled camera, it requires more power than the USB can provide. So now we have the mount and the two cameras both connected up to this USB hub down here and going back to the computer. So now we'll go over to Nina and make sure that everything is being detected. The both cameras and the mount, as we already know the mount is. So here in Nina we have our camera detected. This is the 405C, this is our main imaging camera. You can see here the details. So just like when we connected up our camera in the previous video where we were imaging the sun, only this time you can see here we've got the temperature controls. We can set the target temperature and we can cool the CCD. So at the moment the CCD is 26 degrees. We can cool that to our target temperature. So whatever we want to cool it to, we can hit this cool button, it will start cooling it off to that temperature. So I know now that the camera is connected and being detected. So next will be to set up the guiding. So we're going to use PhD for guiding. So if we go to Guider here, see we can connect to the PhD 2 software. And in PhD 2 we're going to need to connect up our guide camera. So here in PhD, auto guiding software, we're able to select the camera. So we choose our SVBony camera, as that's what we're using. And then here we can select the camera we want to use. So for the guiding, we're using the 705C. For our imaging, we're using the 405C. Yeah? So we choose 705C and connect. Now we're connected. But obviously we're not going to see anything right now because I have the lens cap on and we're not set up outside. I'm not going to see any stars in here. But right now I'm just making sure that everything is connected before we head outside and start trying to connect to something and do some tracking. So at the moment here, we've got no guiding actually turned on at the moment. But these are our settings. For the camera, you can choose your guiding algorithm, so on in here. We can open up here Guiding Assistant, which will help you out with setting up the guiding. This is my first time using any of this. We're also going to need to do polar alignment, which is something I haven't done before, so I'm going to be figuring out how to do that. But right now, I'm just basically getting everything connected up to the laptop, making sure everything's recognized. Okay, so I have everything connected now, and we are going to head outside and do a 3-point polar alignment. And I've downloaded a plugin here in Nina called 3-point polar alignment, and this is going to allow us to do hopefully our polar alignment, even if we don't have a view of the Polaris star, by using plate solving. So fingers crossed. Like I say, it's the first time I've ever done any of this, but all I've done is done some research and figured out what I want to do, and now it's just a question of trying to make the equipment all work together and do it. So once you've installed that 3-point polar alignment, we can switch here between our image and our polar alignment, and this is going to tell us our azimuth error, altitude error, when we start doing our alignment. So let's move everything outside so we have a view of the sky and see if we can get polar aligned. So I've got the telescope set up outside now and approximately pointing north. I did that using a compass. Now I have the end of the house here blocking our north view, this particular location. So we're going to do a 3-point polar alignment using Nina without any actual view of north. So what we're going to do, obviously I'm going to turn off these lights so it's dark, and we're going to slew over to some stars that are up here and get our alignment done using plate solving. So before we can plate solve, I've had to download something called ASI, which is taking a little bit of time. But while that's ongoing here, so I'm downloading here, ASI, I need to install that. So that will be our plate solving database. While that is ongoing, I'm getting the camera set up, and you see I'm starting to get some images of stars coming through. It's not in focus yet. So I'm going to use this Batinov mask, and we're going to try and get these stars in focus. So the Batinov mask will go over the end of the telescope, and it'll give us a kind of flare around the star, and we have to align center with that. So there is actually a tool here in Nina for using the Batinov mask, which I'm going to give a try. So I'm done with my first attempt. Not got any images, didn't get tracking set up, mainly due to I'm trying to download the plate solving star database so I can get alignment and polar alignment done. The download is taking forever, so I'm just going to leave it running overnight. Once I've got that database of stars, we'll try again tomorrow, getting polar alignment done. I think that's the key to everything. Once I've got polar alignment done, I should be able to get the telescope to slew to where it needs to go to. Right now, I've been using the app connected directly to the tracking mount, and it'll slew towards the object, but it's overshooting it. It's not getting it properly. I'm guessing because it's not set up, not aligned properly, so it's not tracking to the correct coordinates. But overall, I've been able to get the cameras connected, recognized in Nina. I'm able to get the mount recognized. Kind of everything's talking to the computer. Now it's just a matter of experience and learning how to get the polar alignment, how to get onto the targets that we want to image, and then begin imaging. So we'll try again tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have the database of stars downloaded and we'll be able to at least get as far as polar alignment tomorrow. So actually my download finished. I found that what I had to do was choose a different server, and it downloaded a lot quicker. So I'm going to try again tonight. I've got everything connected up again. So I'm going to try plate solving for 3-point polar alignment with Nina. So there's the scope. I've got the manual slewing here. So what I'm going to do, turn this to fast. I've aligned it approximately north using compass. And now I'm going to slew this, point at some stars, so we can do a 3-point polar alignment. So let's just slew this over this direction. So from home, I'm going to move it around to point out there. And now we'll go over here into Nina. We're in our imaging. I'm going to go to image first of all, and I'm just going to make sure I got everything in focus. So I'm going to start an image. We'll capture an image from the camera. So at the moment we've got no stars in view there. So I'm going to make some adjustments until we get some stars in view, something we can focus on. Okay, so I'm pointing at an area of the sky. I've got my stars here in focus. Now we'll switch over to our 3-point polar alignment. We choose to start from the current position. And then we have to stop our capturing here. We'll try this out. So now I'll capture an image. It says our plate solving has failed. I'm not really sure why. I've installed the database. Of stars, but we're not getting any result here. Well, unfortunately, the clouds are just not cooperating. They keep blowing in. We've got a few stars there, and then the clouds come in again, and we lose it. So we may have to give up for this evening. But at least I've made some progress. It's been an education, and I think I've figured out why my plate solving wasn't working. So one of the things was you've got to make sure you have the correct settings here. So I input here, I looked up the focal length of this telescope is 480 millimeters, so I made sure that was correct. I double checked that a few times. And then the key breakthrough for me seemed to be changing this solver search radius from 10 to 20. And then I seem to start getting solving. Right now though, it's not going to solve because the clouds keep moving in, but I'm going to give it one more go. We're kind of pointed quite high up northwards, and we'll see if it can solve and see if we can move it and get it polar aligned. Well, it's almost 1 AM. The cloud cover's 75%, and I just can't get polar alignment done because I can't plate solve. I can solve a couple of frames, but then the camera's the scope slews to an area where there's cloud cover, and we'll just have to try another day, try tomorrow. I've made a lot of progress this evening, and hopefully tomorrow will be a clearer sky and we'll be able to get decent polar alignment done and begin to actually slew the telescope to a specific target and start capturing some images. So this is night 2. I made progress last night, as you saw, and I'm starting off early. Hopefully there's not going to be as much cloud around tonight, and I'm going to be able to get finally plate solving and polar alignment working. So just got everything plugged in, powered on. We'll see how it goes this evening. So partway through, the cloud came in and I lost it. See, and now it's having trouble solving. It's not completely clear skies. There's patches where it's clear and patches where it's not. So we've got to start all over again. Okay, so you see now our total error, 1 degree 29 minutes 14 seconds. So we're quite close. So I've got a little bit of up and a little bit of right adjustment to make. Okay, so you see our total error there now. It's quite low. It's going to be good enough for me to get started here. So we'll turn on tracking, and we'll see now if we can point to a target and get it framed up properly. So I got my polar alignment, I've got tracking turned on. I'm not doing any auto guiding at the moment, one step at a time. So this supposedly, if my alignment and everything is all right, should be the California Nebula that we're imaging. So I'm taking 30-second exposures, and I'm just going to leave this running for a while, and then we'll try and stack these and see what it is we've got. Okay, so I've captured about half an hour of imaging. I used Deep Sky Stacker Live, and it gave me this image here from the auto stack. So I've got no bias frames or anything yet, but you can see here we've captured some detail. The stars there. Now this is obviously looking pretty boring right now, but this is kind of how these images come out, and it isn't until we stretch it in Photoshop that we should hopefully begin to see some details, if I was indeed pointing at what I thought I was, which was supposed to be the California Nebula. So what I'm doing now is I'm capturing my dark frames. So these are done with exactly the same camera settings, 30 seconds, same CCD temperature. I've got my temperature set to 0 degrees. Same focal length, same focus, everything. And you capture around, say, 10 of these. So my exposure time is 30 seconds. So it's going to take me 5 minutes to collect these. And then we will collect another set of flats, which basically we set it to the fastest shutter speed, and we capture those. So once we've captured our bias frames, we can then go and put it all together in Deep Sky Stacker here, where we should be able to combine everything together. Then we'll take it over into Photoshop and see how my first ever astrophotography nebulae image has come out. So in Deep Sky Stacker, I exported a TIFF, I brought it into Photoshop, I've stretched the image a little bit, and this is what I got. So there is something there. It doesn't look like a California Nebula to me, which I was supposed to be pointing at, but I think that I was kind of zoomed in on it. I don't think this is the whole thing. This is a section of it. So yeah, this is night one. This is my very first real astrophotography image. Our previous video of the sun, you know, that was pretty easy to capture actually, but as you can see, there's been quite a bit of procedure just to get the telescope set up, to get everything talking, to get everything connected. And then the clouds came in last night, so I've only managed to get about half an hour of imaging. So this is basically half an hour of 30-second exposures, and there's something there. Initially though, when you first open it up, this is all you see. But after you've stretched the image, then I've been able to bring out this from there. So you can see at the edges here, when Deep Sky Stack has stacked everything and aligned everything up, there's a little bit off on the edges there, so you might want to crop the image to get rid of that that edge where things have just been moved around to align everything. So we can just crop that, and yeah, there we go. So from here, more learning to do, and more exploring to do. Hopefully tonight we'll get some clear skies, and maybe we'll be able to get a couple of hours of images, and we'll be able to get something a little more impressive than this. But overall, I think, you know, as a first attempt, this is okay.